So today we're going to do flipping. So why does flipping work? Flipping works because we're taking something that's old and we're making it like new construction for cheaper than new construction. So the last quote I got was $280 a square foot to build new construction. So if I can buy something for $150 a square foot, fix it up for $50 a square foot, I'm in it for $200 a square foot, and I make the $80 a square foot. But it's not an exact science like that, because if one is on the park versus one that's not on the park, the one on the park has an intrinsic value that's just worth more. But that's basically it. So Philip, he wanted to learn how to do flipping, and he had kind of done his own acreages, lived there, fixed it up, and then sold it and made a tax-free profit because it was primary residence. He always did the work himself, hire out like plumbing and electrical and stuff like that, but he wanted to actually get into it as a business. So he came to us and we found a legally suited one for $250,000. So it would have been like 3 years ago when prices were cheaper. $250,000, and we told him his after repair value would be $424,000. And so he was out of town, couldn't see it. He just wrote an offer without seeing it because he just trusted our numbers. We read an offer, another offer comes in. And so we went back to him and said, hey, in multiple offer situations, you get one chance to make your best offer. Do you want to do an escalation clause? He didn't really want to do that, so he just did $10,000 more than it was listed for. And he was cash. Got it accepted. And then I get a call from the other realtor that we're competing against. And she goes, hey, I saw that you got the property for $260. Why did they accept your offer? Like, because we bid more than you? She's like, no, we bid $265. Like, I have no idea. Were you cash? Yeah. Turns out hers went to junk and they never got it. It's crazy. So he bought it for $265, which was $10,000 more than it was listed for. He then flipped it for a $36,000 profit in 90 days, doing none of the work himself. The only thing he did was him and his kids took a sledgehammer and they wanted to bash out one of the walls because it makes a good photo.
Yeah.
But the reason why I like this one, and we sold it in the day before it went on realtor.ca. So the reason why I like this one specifically is it breaks a couple myths with flipping. The first myth is it has to be an off-market property in order to make a profit. The next one is you have to buy it for under list price in order to make a profit. And then the third one is, I forget what the third one is. But he bought it for $260,000. We told him his after repair value would be $424,000. We sold it for $421,000 the day before it went on realtor.ca. We had an investor from BC. We literally just FaceTimed them, brought them to the property, and she bought it over the phone. His closing costs were, so his legal fees, property inspection, and property appraisal was $2,500. And then his holding costs, so your property taxes, property insurance, property taxes, and then he refinanced his acreage, pulled out money from there, and then used a line of credit to fund the purchase of this. And I think he used Calvert Mortgages to fill in the gap. So you've got your payments on the line of credit, and you've got payments on the interest, and you also have to have the utilities on because you have to plug in your power tools. So that was $14,000. His renovations, he spent $79,000. I won't go through everything he did. I'll show you pictures instead.
Okay.
And then your closing costs, so that's your lawyer, your stager, your realtor, $30,000. And so he made a $36,000 profit, or $12,000 a month before taxes.
Right.
This is what it looked like when he bought it. And so we told him, you're going to tear out this wall, and we're going to put an island in there. So you see the beam that goes across the top there, just tear it out.
Yeah.
The kitchen sink drained into a bucket. The tenant had been there for 36 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Didn't want to call the landlord and be like, hey, can you fix something? Don't jack up my rent. This is what it looked like after.
Okay, sweet.
That's crazy.
Sweet, nice and wide open, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Stager, you walk in the door and you go, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
On the exterior, now Philip is an engineer.
Okay.
Engineers just have to do things perfectly.
Yes.
Builders are kind of like that too. It's like,
Yeah.
so I'll have some things to work out.
Yeah.
One of the windows was broken. So I would just replace the one broken window, and then all the other trim, I would just sand them down, repaint them, because that increases the longevity of the window. Water can't get through. But he replaced all the upper windows. It's about $1,000 per window to replace them if you're hiring it out, and it doesn't increase the value by $1,000 per window.
Right.
He just painted the bottom part, power washed the siding, put a new mailbox on there and put some new numbers, and painted the fence. In the bathroom, this is why I like stagers. So you'll notice there's a book in the bathtub.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So when the buyer walks into the bathroom, they go, oh, there's a book in there. I could light a candle, and it just evokes emotion for them.
Right.
Then this one, so down on 53rd Street, so right next to Central Middle School, it's surrounded by apartment buildings. Some people would label it as a bad location. I see future development land. They bought it for $167,000. It was listed for $179,000, but they're cash, and so they just beat up the person on the price. It did look like someone died in the living room, so it was easier to beat them up on the price on that one.
Right.
And then we sold it just a couple months later for $370,000. So it was a $200,000 spread between what they bought it for. They did spend $150,000 through builders, spent $150,000 on renovations. And the reason why it sold for so, like, what was that, $15,000 less than it was listed for, is because they sold it to their sister. Just going through a divorce, and it was like, hey, we'll just do it. And we did it for free. Like, we didn't even charge them commission or anything, even though it was listed. But it was family.
Right.
On the exterior, they did my favorite thing. So a little hard to see in here, but the staircase is slightly crooked.
Yes. Yeah.
It's about $1,000 to jackhammer it out, remove all the concrete because they charge by weight when you take it to the dump.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they just built the deck over top. You maybe could have mud jacked it.
Right. Right.
I would have kept the tree. I think trees sell houses. That one, you could get rid of that one.
Right. Right.
They replaced all the windows. Even though these are the wood slider windows, I would have just sanded them down and painted them. The renovation we just did down in Parkville, spent $100,000, didn't renovate the windows, and it priced for what we wanted.
Okay.
In the kitchen, they went to IKEA and they replaced all the kitchen cupboards. What I would have done is I would have sanded them down, repainted them, and put new hardware on them.
Right. Okay.
They're basically the same layout. I have to add the dishwasher in there,
Right.
but it saves $6,000.
Right. Right.
Now, if one of your cupboard doors looks like this scuff mark here, you can't really, I mean, you could put wood filler in it, but it just, and you could buy a new door for that one.
Yeah.
I love that you know all the skills. It's fun.
Yeah. Sure.
So the smell of mold is the smell of gold. The roof was leaking, and it literally leaked right into the bathtub.
Right.
That was awesome.
Right.
Lucky. So what I would have done is I would have cut out that one part, just replaced that bat of insulation because it's obviously going to be moldy up there, and called it a day.
Yeah.
But they replaced the whole insulation. It doesn't, things inside the walls, people don't really care about. It's like, oh, does it have a nice kitchen? Does it have a nice garage? So
Right.
it doesn't add value to it, even though it has a higher R factor. I don't recommend doing it.
Right.
Wallpaper's making a comeback.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, they did a good job on it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's where it looked like someone died in the living room.
Yeah.
There was no leak from the ceiling. I don't know how that stain got there.
Right.
The most recent quote that I got for hardwood floors to refinish them is $8,000.
Okay.
A lot of labor. It's mainly labor. Sand it down, as you know.
Yeah.
But the problem is, even if I do sand that down, we still have a problem. Because there's a transition from the entrance to the hardwood floors, and your eye will subconsciously catch on it.
Right.
We just want flush all the way through. So that's why we do vinyl plank all the way through.
Yep. Love it.
And then the difference between professional stagers and someone who thinks they can stage it is this. So Philip, professionally staged. This one, they brought their stuff. A stager is worth a 250% return on investment. It's like $1,500, but they make you $5,000. We like telling people to put basement suites in properties.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did it. They ended up selling it to the sister. They didn't legalize it. The problem is if I don't legalize it, the bank can't use that income and add it to my T4. And the great thing about legal ones is I qualify for more because the basement brings in $1,500 and then my T4 shows $1,500 times 12. So I like legalizing it. It was funny when they did this, we were in the process of doing our basement suite and I walked in there, I'm like, man, should have copied their design. It looks so good. Like it's such a cute basement.
Yeah.
They redid the roof. I had to on that one because it was leaking.
Yeah.
And then Parkville. So we bought Parkville for $249,000, just over there.
Yeah.
Paid full price for it. My after repair value figure was $400,000. We spent $115,000 on it, and so our profit margin, we're making $35,000. But I'm not selling it.
Mhm.
So that $35,000 just forms part of my down payment. We actually bought it for $5,000.
Okay.
So we did seller financing. That's what I just did the video about. And so next time we'll go through that in detail. We spent $100,000 on renovations between contractor and appliances, $15,000 on decor, and then our holding costs. So because we're doing a rent to own, we paid $1,200 per month on the rent to own payment. Utilities during winter, so it was about $500. And then I borrowed $30,000 on a line of credit to pay for the renovations. And I borrowed someone's RRSPs. So one of the guys in the real estate guild, he said, hey, I've got $120,000 sitting in my RRSPs. If you know anyone who wants to do a flip or a burr, please have them reach out to me. And so I messaged him. I said, hey, I've got this property. Would you be willing to do a second mortgage on my house right next door? And so we got the appraisal, and there was enough room because the bank will only go to 90% loan to value. So Chris put his $65,000 as a second mortgage on the property. And then I pay him 10.5% interest. So I pay him $580 a month. Every month his RSP increases by $580, and he still is a second mortgage. So if I die, he can foreclose on me.
Great.
It's very safe for him. We'll go through that in raising capital.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
And so $10,000 in change is what we spent for holding costs for a total of $130,000 approximately. This is what my numbers look like when I'm running them.
Yeah, there you go.
I never showed to an investor,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so this is the house, but we actually bought it and there was hoarders that lived there.
Okay.
So this is
Yeah.
pre-hoarders. I
Yeah.
should have a photo for it, but I wanted to show the layout. So you come to the front door, you're hit by a closet. On the other side of the closet is the living room. Plan is to tear that out.
Right.
I always build an oh crap fund into my numbers
Right.
because when we started tearing that out, the place was so heavily smoked in that the ceiling, the stipple ceiling, started just peeling off.
Right. Yeah.
Turned out really well in the end because we had to redo it, but put pot lights in there, and now it's just flush.
Right.
That's nice. On the other side of the living room is your kitchen. Plan is to tear that wall out, and then where the fridge is, there's a window there. I want to pop a patio door in there.
Right. Okay.
Because then you walk through the front door, you can see straight out to the back, which is a park right behind it. It'd just be like, ta-da.
Yeah.
I call this my $14,000 door
Right.
because I did not know that there's asbestos in the mud. And so contractor asbestos, they come in, they remove it. And then we went to go do the exterior, and he's like, I should test the stucco.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, crap.
Right.
So $14,000 later, got a door, put an island in there, and this is what it looks like after.
Sweet.
Yeah, it turned out really well. At like a 93% occupancy rate on Airbnb, and yeah, it's crushing it.
Awesome. That's just off of like Barrett Park there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What renovations should you do? Depends on the property. Sometimes we can do paint and flooring, splash and dash, in and out, make $30,000. Other times we have to move walls, change the layout, just make it more trendy.
Right. Or like the open layouts.
Yeah, they want to be able to see everything when they walk through the front door, just not the bedrooms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then structural beams, having them exposed is in style right now, which, as you know, is cheaper leaving them exposed than hiding them in the ceiling.
Yeah, for sure.
And then always, always, always stage the property. It's actually probably 1,000% return on investment. I just didn't think people would believe that.
Right.
How you find what to do for renovations? Pinterest. You just go in there, whatever's trending, show it to the contractor, and you go, how much would it be to do this?
Right.
Go, oh, $75,000. Sweet. Then you go back, look at your numbers, make sure it works. There's local trends. So Sylvan Lake Coastal Blues is kind of the local trend. Red Deer, we don't really have local trends. Things not to do. So if you're buying like a half duplex or a fourplex, you might think, well, should I separate the utilities? It's like $40,000 to separate the utilities.
Right.
And I could just charge him 25%, him 25%, and it doesn't increase the value of the property.
Right.
So I don't recommend doing that. Furnaces, $6,000 to replace a furnace. What I do instead is I get the service guy to come in and check it and then put that little sticker there that says come back October 2026. Because when the buyer comes down, they look at that sticker, they have peace of mind, they go, professionals looked it over, it's working. What happens is if it breaks by the time I do the inspection to when I actually have the property inspector come through with an offer, say the heat exchanger goes, what I'll say to the buyer is, well, you're going to have the benefit of this thing for 15 years. I can get it for 2 weeks until you take possession. How about we split it? So rather than preemptively spending $6,000, spend $150, have them come and look at it, and then maybe split it and only spend $3,000.
Right.
This might be different in your case with garages because you can do the work and half of it's labor, half of it's material. I typically don't recommend building garages. The most recent quote I got was $37,000. It increases the value by $37,000.
Right.
But for you, it's like, because it increases your timeline.
Right.
And if I'm borrowing expensive money, it's like, but for you, I probably would recommend doing it.
Right. How big of a garage was that?
Twin double car garage.
24 by 24?
I think it was 22 by 24.
Okay.
And I can't remember if it was drywalled and insulated. That might have just been the shell.
Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's 50.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Fences, unless your fence is literally falling over, just paint it.
Right.
This is probably the most important part when it comes to determining if it's a good deal, is your after repair value. What is it going to be worth when you're done? So if the after repair value is 100%, what do we need to buy it at in order to make a profit? We need to buy it 40 to 60% of that in order to make a profit. If it needs more work, we have to buy it closer to the 40%. If it doesn't need a lot of work, we can buy it closer to that 60%. So Phillips, he bought it for just over 61% of the ARV. The reason why he spent a little bit more on it is because it already had that stamp of legalization for the basement suite, and that's valuable. The one where it looked like someone died down in the living room, they had to get it for cheaper. And then the one in Parkville, because they're carrying financing for us, we're able to spend a little bit more.
Right, okay.
How we determine the after repair value is a comparative market analysis that the realtor does. Or you can hire an appraiser and they can actually do that as well.
Yep.
So it's a 32-page document. This is just the summary.
Yep.
First section, status pending. Usually it says status active, but because we're in such an active market right now, things are getting offers. But that would be our competition. If it was here today, people would also be looking at that one. Then we have status sold. That is what people are willing to pay for this type of property in this area at this time. And then usually there's a third section and it'll say status expired. That's what people are not willing to pay.
Right.
And then we're going to price it using the slightly less, slightly more pricing concept. We're going to price it halfway between the average of the competition and the average of the solds. So what is halfway between 419,900 and 384,000 approximately?
About in between 400 and 405.
Yes, yeah. So 400,000, 399,900, 399,777 actually, because buyers are more educated now than ever. They see a nice new pretty staged house come on at 399. They know the competition is 419. They're going to call their realtor. We're going to get lots of showings. Maybe we get a bidding war. But we only get one chance to make a good first impression. So if we only sold for 399, we still netted $16,000 more than what everyone else got.
Right.
Because they got 384. Did an interview with Jonathan Schwetz out of Edmonton, and he's done 200 flips. He's got like his whole business, and it's like He's got his own contracting company, just like it's crazy. So he aims for an 8% profit margin. I like 30 grand. If I can make 30 grand on a flip, let's do it. With my OCRAP fund built into it. But he's always redoing the basements. I don't actually recommend doing basements. It's like 50 grand to do a basement, increases the value by 50,000. But he's got his own contracting company, so makes sense for him to do it. But his biggest tip was I look for unfinished basements because then it saves him the labor of having to, because he would always back to the studs.
Right.
And contractors. So a little bit different for you, but I'll tell you what I tell everyone.
Right.
There's a couple strategies with contractors. There's Andrew's strategy where he'll get 3 contractors. He'll put his favorite last, bring the first one go through. He'll go, hey, here's all the things I want to do. just so you know, I've got another contractor coming to give me a quote. Yeah, sure, that's fine. First contractor leaves, second contractor comes, says the same thing. That contractor leaves, a couple days later, get the quotes back, and then he takes whichever quote is cheaper, and he says to the other guy, would you be willing to beat it? And he goes, yeah, sure, beat it by this much. And then he goes back to the other guy, and he just keeps going back and forth until one of them drops out. Then he takes that quote, goes to his favorite contractor. He doesn't say match it or beat it. He says, what do you think of it? He'll look at it and he'll go, well, you doing GFI breakers? Well, yeah, I want to do GFI breakers. Well, he doesn't have that in here. Are you painting the ceilings? Because it's heavily smoked in. Yeah, I want to paint the ceilings. Well, he doesn't have that in here either. So sometimes contractor, like there's a lot of stuff when you're going through. It's just like, it's hard to keep track of it. So sometimes it's accidentally left out. Some bad characters leave things out on purpose because then they can add it in later. But he does that for everything. Like, it's just like he gets crazy prices. Then my strategy is I don't pick like the most expensive like builder. I go right under. It's like he is a builder. He's just not one of the big builders. And so I go with him and then I'm just loyal to him. Because if he has to go to Home Depot because he needs some tool to do some special job, he doesn't charge me to buy the tool because he's going to use it later. Or screws, separate, running back to Home Depot. So our basement suite, the house that we live in, I never would have bought because it didn't have a separate entrance. I never legalize it. And my wife's standing there and she goes, can't we just dig a hole, build some stairs, and cut into the foundation? And I'm like, I guess anything is possible. So we get Jim Marshall. Jim Marshall's the best of the best when it comes to concrete. Jim comes and he looks at it. He's like, well, yeah, it's possible. I have to get the engineer to come and look at it. $18,000. Like, ooh, okay. So it used to be $50,000 for the basement suite, plus the $18,000, $68,000, $700 my mortgage. I was going to rent it for $1,500. I'm still positive $800 cash flow. Let's do it. So I'm bringing my contractor through to get the quote for the basement, to tell him the vision of cutting the door in there. And he goes, well, my brother just started a concrete company. Do you want him to give you a quote? I said, sure. Came in at $8,000. It's like, oh, okay. I'm like, sorry, Jim. And so get his brother to do it. And then, as you know, the city inspectors check periodically during the stages of renovations. So they're standing at the entrance to this door. They're looking down, and the city inspector says, so how far are you putting that frost barrier down? And the contractor says, 2 feet. And the city inspector goes, well, it's actually 4. And if you don't do 4, then you get a heaving in there and you're going to get a crack in your foundation. The hilarious thing is Jim was literally at my next door neighbor fixing that problem. And if the city inspector hadn't caught it, Jim would have been back over there 5 years later, and it would have been a heck of a lot more than $10,000 because it'd be all finished. Yeah. And then even if we are loyal to someone, like I've got a handyman and I use him for everything. And I lent him out to someone. I said, he was working with him. He's like, Bryce, I can't work for this guy anymore. He just nitpicks me on everything. I'm changing my prices from $30 an hour to $60. I'm like, sure, you do you. And and so you just still got to watch invoices because sometimes people are trying to price you out because they just don't want to work with you anymore. Right. But you know that. How do we finance flips? There's something called flip financing. So Calvert Mortgages, they have a couple different programs. $10,000 is the cheapest down payment. If I put $10,000 down, they will lend you the rest of the purchase price. Go buy a house for $10,000. They charge 18.9% interest and 3% fees. So I was doing one for Nathan. He took the training. He was going to make $23,000 after all the smoke cleared. So it didn't quite work, but it was going to be $30,000 just in lending fees. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Why would we ever use expensive money? Well, there's an application fee to get it approved for them. Once you're approved, you're a cash buyer. And so now that we're cash, maybe we can go get a discount on the purchase price. Or maybe it just allows us to get the deal. But if we get $10,000 off the purchase price, that's a lot of interest that we've saved. And then the other strategy is I have my approval. I buy the house, even if I get full price. I put possession for 90 days. In those 90 days, I'll shop for cheap money. Like I'm doing that right now. Got a $1.5 million approval. But yeah, I'll explain that. So nice thing about these guys is they double check your work. You have to submit an entire business plan to them, show them the comparative market analysis that the realtor does. And because they look at so many files, if they see a deal that doesn't work, they'll reject it. And so if it does get approved, they're like, yeah, you've got a high chance of actually making money on this. It's no interest for the entire time. Don't have to make any payments during it. You just pay them out at the end. A balloon payment. Maximum of 6 months. But because you've taken the course, you now get access to Tim Blake. So Tim Blake, he's a hard money lender out of GP, and he's also a realtor, and he charges 14.5% interest and no fees. So I'm doing a 1.5. I have a $1.5 million approval sitting on my desk from him.
Right.
Just in the 3% fee saving is $45,000. That's crazy. But I'm shopping for cheap money. Yeah. It's like I'm waiting for service credit. You need to give me a 6% interest.
Right.
But at least I have a backup.
Right.
I'll give you his number whenever you want it. Other ways to finance flips. Bridge loans. So just like Philip, how he refinanced his house and used that to purchase it and then paid it off after he sold it.
Right.
Hard money lenders. Hard money lenders are like Tim Blake, someone who understands real estate, likes it. They just don't want to do it. So they'll charge you interest on it.
Right, okay, yeah.
And then joint venture partners. The difference between a joint venture partner and a hard money lender. Say I'm going to make $50,000 on a project. If I split it with him, he makes $25,000. I make $25,000. But if I'm using a hard money lender, paying him 14.5% interest, maybe it's $12,000 in interest instead of $25,000.
Right.
In the beginning, though, we typically start with joint ventures because you have to give away a little bit more in order to then do the deal. But then once you have the reputation, then we switch to hard money lenders. But even if I get to that point, I will still keep my joint venture partners because I'll do deals with them because it doesn't prohibit me from doing deals with other people as well. But yeah, so I like joint venture partners. Lines of credits. There's some people that have $250,000 lines of credits. There's a strategy where you go to your bank, you get a credit card, you get a line of credit. It's easier if you have a business account, but you can do it with personal as well. And then, so you get a $10,000 credit card and a $5,000 line of credit. And then you wait a little bit, use your credit card, you pay it down. You make sure you pay it down. Mm-hmm. You go back to the bank and you go, hey, I'm at 18.9% interest here and 7% here. I'm already approved with you. Can I reduce my credit card limit and increase my line of credit? They say, yeah, that's smart. If I ever have to use it, it's cheaper interest. And then you wait a little bit. They'll send you an automatic approval. Another automatic approval. You go back in and you just keep doing it. And so you can get $250,000 lines of credits in like a year. Have to keep using the credit card to do it. And there's some crazy guys that have 50 credit cards and they just do cash advances on it, 0% balance transfer, and then buy stuff with cash and have 0% interest for 12 months. It's ludicrous. So this is the only thing that is different between my flipping course and any other flipping course you'd ever take, because I do one thing differently than every other realtor in Alberta. What does a realtor do for you? There's 8 things they do. So they help you prepare the home for sale. So I've got a 21-point checklist, give it to you. And if you do every 21 points on that, it just helps you net more money. But when you're doing a flip, you're basically doing all 21 points anyways. Realtors also help you select the best asking price. So that's using the slightly less, slightly more pricing concept, price it halfway in between. Mm-hmm. If it sells for more, great. Realtors also qualify the buyers. So before I put my suit jacket on and go out the door, I know that that person can buy the house if they want to. I legally have to. So for sale by owners, they get a call on a Saturday. They want to see it tomorrow at noon. They're like, oh, I was going to go for lunch with my wife, but I got to go show the house. They're just excited they got a phone call. They don't know if he's qualified. And so realtors have 80% of all the inventory. So if you're looking for a house, where do all the serious motivated qualified buyers have to go? Where the inventory is. Mm-hmm. So what's left over? Garage sale hunters, casual lookers, wholesalers, things like that. And so most direct buyers aren't qualified to buy the houses they look at. But then realtors also help buyers decide. So if we're looking through a list of houses to show, there's 18 on there. I only have time to show 3, maybe 5. I have to narrow it down. Mm-hmm. So how do I narrow it down? Look through the pictures. But then I put 777 at the end of all my listings. And I've emailed almost every single realtor in Central Alberta. If you see 777, you've hit the jackpot. It's a Team Candor listing. It's going to show well. It's going to be priced right. And you're going to get paid a bonus commission. 3% straight across. So I was at a realtor appointment today teaching realtors about creative financing. And I told them I've got a listing coming up. $369,000 for a legally suited house, 777. And I said, you will get paid a 3% straight across commission plus GST. They all leaned in.
Mhm.
And afterwards, they're thinking like, who do I have for this? Can I go take a video? Can I promote your listing? Because if it's close between one property or the other, and if it doesn't hurt the buyer to move them to one or the other, which do you think is going to sell first?
The one that gives them more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you could go to work tomorrow and someone's going to pay you $80 an hour, one's going to pay you $95 an hour. Which job are you going to prioritize?
95.
Yeah. And so we just need to get on that list. We just got to get them in the door, and then because we got to sell a house once, you got to sell it twice. First, you sell it to the realtor, then the realtor sells it to the buyer. And to get them to sell it, we got to get them excited. Realtors also negotiate on your behalf. Sometimes when you're working on a project, you put your blood, sweat, and tears, literal blood, sweat, and tears into it. You get emotionally attached to it. It's nice. Like realtors shouldn't even sell their own houses. Realtors also expedite the paperwork. I've got an assistant, literally 24/7, can do the offer. So by doing all of this, it reduces your risk when you're flipping, because my average listing sells in, I just pulled it up yesterday, sells in 17 days within 1.56% of list price, 1.5%, for the last 15 years. So if we know it's going to sell within average of 17 days, within 1.5% of list price, it reduces your risk. It also reduces your holding costs. The average realtor takes 90 days to sell, and then possessions 30 days after that. It's 120 days. But if I do 17, possessions 30 days, it's 45 days. I got my money out. Now I can go do another project. So maybe that's the difference between 2 flips a year and 4 flips a year.
Right.
So it increases the velocity of money.
Yeah.
So do you have questions about flips before we get to BRRRR?
No, I don't think so. Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Sounds good. There's an assignment for the flipping portion of the course, and it's to watch a show on Netflix.
Okay.
when you have time, because I know you're busy. Either Dream Home Makeover or Instant Dream Home. Instant Dream Home, they flip a house in 24 hours. I think you'll like that one.
Which one? Instant Dream Home.
Okay, Instant Dream Home. Okay. Dream Home Makeover is luxury house flips. And then what I want you to do is, when you're watching it, pay attention to the tips that we learned about, especially the kids' bedrooms. Because they'll do like these crazy jungle themes, and it's like monkeys hanging off the roof. But what is it? They did paint, flooring, and baseboards, and staging.
Right.
So next time we're going to do flips, which is the best way I know how to buy real estate. It's also the best way to find joint venture partners, and it's how we can get an infinite return on investment. But it's a whole nother course.